Morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about a mission that we did that I didn't actually get to do. So I want to say it was midsummer 2011. Unfortunately, I don't have record of this mission, probably because they didn't actually log any flight time. But I know our Air Force medical crew that we were working with at the hospital in Ghazni. Unfortunately, the team we started with, they had already rotated out and we had a new team in there. And they were very green and just didn't really know the process yet. So anyway, that's a little background of what I'm going to tell you here in a second. But we had flown a couple missions that day, and it was warm. And we got this call, urgent medevac for an IED blast. And we ran out to the aircraft. And the reason why I say it's warm was the engines were still hot. So in order to start the engines, you had to press the starter button, let the starter button go, and then it would start drawing air into the engine. And what that would do, that would actually cool the internal temperatures of the engine down because it was still hot from the previous mission. And we had to do that because if you introduced fuel too soon, you'd have what was called a hot start. The engine would start to pop, and eventually it could cause major issues if you didn't shut it down. So we're going through this process, and it happened multiple times. We were below the temperature that we needed to be in order to introduce fuel. And every time we tried it, the engine was popping and it wouldn't work for us. The other aircraft, I believe they asked us like, hey, can we go? It's less than 10 kilometers away. So we had a rule, if you were less than 10K, you could fly single ship. So we're like, go. Let's go. Cause I'm not sure how much time passed, but it had been quite a while and we needed to get out of there. And unfortunately we were going to be unable to do it. So they took off and, we shut down the rest of the aircraft and we got out, and they were so close that we could still hear their aircraft just on the other side of the western wall of the base. And the reason why I brought up the Air Force crew, because it was their job to bring the ambulance out to the pad to receive the patients. And so the aircraft's coming in and nobody's there. So I sprinted up to the hospital. It was, I don't know, maybe 200 yards, 150 yards away. And basically kicked in the door and said, what the hell are you guys doing? They're standing around smoking, joking, literally, like they had no idea that there was an actual mission going on. So they scrambled. I ran back, and the aircraft was just getting on the pad. And I ran over to the door and opened the sliding door on the left-hand side of the aircraft. And right in front of me, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. There was a person, I believe it was a person, sitting up on the litter, and he didn't have a face. And I'm sure everybody has seen Captain America, Red Skull. That's what this guy looked like. It was just nothing but muscle and tendons, and I could see his eyes, but just no lips, nothing. Just no nose. It was all like gone, and it was terrifying. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, and the guy was conscious, sitting there. I believe there was 2 other patients on board as well that the medics were working on. I remember talking to the medic after the fact. He thought he was going to lose all of them because one guy, I guess, was starting to go rigid, starting to go, locking up, and his eyes were starting to pin, but came back. I believe we ended up saving all 3. But eventually the Air Force crew showed up and loaded up the patients into the ambulance. And a few hours later, because we were really close to the hospital, I walked down to the hospital to see, hey, those guys we brought in earlier, how are they doing? And what about that guy that was missing his face? They're like, oh, he's over there. And So I walk over, and this person is out of surgery and sleeping at the time, or whatever, just was not awake. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at his face, like he had a face again. I'm like, what kind of wizardry is this? And I guess, and then I talked to the doctor, and ended up, what happened was, this was an IED blast, and these were Afghan police. And unfortunately, these guys were most of the time out there with no armored vehicles whatsoever. They were driving Toyota Hiluxes, which are badass trucks, but they don't stand a chance against an IED blast. And basically what happened, the concussion from the blast was the pressure was so great that it literally like ripped his face up over his chin or over his forehead and back over his head like a hood. And so his face was still there when I was looking at him, but I didn't see it. So basically the doctors pulled it back down, stitched him all back around, and his face was normal. He just had a gnarly set of stitches all the way around from ear to ear. And it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life that this guy was back. His face was there, because I was thinking initially, like, how is this guy going to live without a face? And there he was. He was all put back together. And the doc said, he's like, I reattach as many nerves as possible. However, he's going to have some feeling issues in his face. I'm like, who gives a crap? He's got his face, But that was pretty gnarly. I think if the guy would have died or his face was completely gone, I don't know, I probably would have felt differently after the fact. But the fact that it was like magic that the doctors were able to actually put this dude back together, and it was pretty awesome to see this. And the Air Force crew learned a very hard lesson that day too, that they need to be awake and they need to be ready. We had quite a few challenging times with that crew before we actually left country. Um, and apparently, when these guys being our second crew, when they went in to land, there was the Hilux and the trucks and stuff. They were just scattered debris. They said they saw boots with legs in them, and it was total destruction. When one of these trucks hit a freaking IED. Anyway, that's my mission for today. If you guys have any questions, comments, please let me know. Um, and I'll get back to you like I always do. Also, in my last video, I talked about I have stickers for sale. Unfortunately, I didn't think about it until now, so I don't have them. But it's my emblem. If you guys are interested, I'll put a link in the bottom of this video, like I did my last video. $3 a piece. I'll send them anywhere in the world. I've sent a few out, sent some over to England, sent some to Pennsylvania, and a couple other places in the country. So let me know. All right. Thanks, everybody.